If you want to feel a little fancy and elegant and elevated, then you go for a filet mignon beef Wellington. Have you ever attempted to make one on your own? It is laborious, labor intensive, because there's layers of flavors and textures that is needed to create a beautiful beef Wellington. But not just any beef Wellington, a filet mignon beef Wellington. These are so special. You don't need a centerpiece on your table, because this is the centerpiece of your table. It's the centerpiece of every single plate, because the presentation is like a little present, but not so little, because they're 7 ounces each. Now you have your choice of either 4 or 8. If you pick up the 8, you stock up and save a couple pennies shy of $32. Now the 4 count comes home for $94.98 and a $19 easy pay. Now we are more limited in that stock up and save option of the 8 count, where you double the amount you get, but you don't double the price. $157.98 or an easy pay of $31.60. Absolutely no auto delivery here, but think about the Easter that is right around the corner. Think about anniversaries, birthdays, graduations. This is a showstopper. It's M92780. Chris Mentzer is back with us to talk about all the layers, all the flavor, all of the love that goes into making these filet mignon beef Wellingtons.
Julia, I am so excited that we're doing this, because I know you're a foodie, and I think we talked about the last time when we did the seafood, when we did the salmon Wellingtons, on the process it took to do this, and I know you appreciate it as someone that is into fine dining.
Yes.
And the things that I love about these Wellingtons, I'm going to cut one open here. What I love about the beef Wellington, if you don't know what it is at home, it's puff pastry wrapped in filet mignon, right, topped with duxelle mushrooms. And puff pastry is a very, very laborious, like you mentioned about not doing these at home because it's so hard to do. This is one of the most challenging items in, I think, any culinary school that you have to learn. It's like the biggest, we call it culinary nightmare when we're learning this in school, because when it was time to do Wellingtons, everyone just panicked because it's so tedious. So this is an opportunity to get something that restaurants, that you can't even find that actually at restaurants anymore. It's just so hard to find because they're so difficult to make.
Right.
And we're bringing it to you in a 4 or an 8 where we do all the work for you. Look how beautiful this is. Look at the mushroom duxelle oozing out of this pastry. And look how flaky this pastry is. And the beautiful filet mignon.
Can you explain to everyone who might not know what a mushroom duxelle is?
Sure, absolutely. So if you look at the pan in front of me, this is mushrooms. We use portobello mushrooms. So we're using our Black Angus center cut filet mignon. We're using portobello mushrooms, shallots, and red wine, herbs and spices. And what we do is we cook this down for about 3 to 4 hours to dry out the mushrooms, right? So I'm gonna get the red wine in there. And then what we do is once we get the red wine, we turn the heat down and we slowly cook this to make this beautiful seasoned duxelle, which is what it's called, a mushroom duxelle. And it's what's used in making beef Wellington. So if you come over to here, over to the board, I'll show you actually very quickly like the process of making this. So what we do is we take our center cut filet, we stick it in the middle of the puff pastry, we take some of our duxelle, and we top the filet. And again, look how beautiful the filet is. Center cut, 5-ounce filet. We put the mushroom duxelle, and then what we do is we gently fold this, and we pinch it, and we take it like this, and we pinch it, and we take this like we pinch it, and then we twist it, and we make this beautiful pocket that you see here. So that is the process of making beef Wellington. So the trick of it is, first of all, you have to make puff pastry, which is layers of dough and butter. You have to make the duxelle that takes 3 to 4 hours. Then you have to get your center cut filet cleaned and trimmed, and then put this all together, and then get it in the oven to cook it perfectly. So that's where the challenge, and that's why at restaurants, you'll see this on menus for Julia, you've seen what, 50,
Oh,
$60 a portion?
$65, right. Especially if
yeah,
you're using a center cut filet mignon, absolutely. But thing is, you're not gonna see it on those restaurant menus very often. Maybe as a Sunday special and it says while they last, and it's the first thing that always sells out. It is a celebratory meal, and it's so funny how you were talking about, Chris, how like in culinary school, when the beef Wellington came around, everyone's like, no, I don't want to. I'm a huge watcher of Top Chef, and this last season, which was like the Top Chef, like all the Top Chef winners around the world were competing against each other. There was an entire challenge centered around the Wellington and the history of it and creating it. And even those top chefs were like, oh my gosh, really? So this is such a great opportunity. It is labor intensive, but it is rich. There's a delicateness. There's some earthiness from the duxelle. There's the butteriness from the puff pastry. That gorgeous center cut filet, every bite is something to celebrate, and it looks beautiful on the plate. This is a stock up and save of nearly $32 here when you pick up that 8 count, which is more popular but also more limited, M92780.
Yeah, this is at every person that cuts this open when they make this at home. When they cut that in half, they just pray that it looks okay.
Right.
And this is something we haven't made. It's 410 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes, and it comes out perfect every time. You could be the chef at home, and you don't have to tell anyone that Rastelli's helped.
That's the truth. I mean, it's like a perfect little present on the center of every single plate. That every bite is something delectable.
And for everyone that ever wanted to try it and couldn't find it at the restaurant, or wanted to spend the money, or always wanted to go with a special meal, this is the time to have it. It's so easy to do. You literally just take it out, put it in the oven frozen. You can brush it with a little bit of egg if you want. If you brush it with a little bit of egg, Julia, it will give it a beautiful shine on the dough. Or you can just put it in if you want more of that rustic look. But for a dinner for two, if you're having company, 4 people over, it's just such a special dinner that none of your guests would ever expect.
Yeah, it really is something so beyond special. Great for Easter Sunday, which is coming up very soon, sooner than it usually does. But you know what? Even, heck, it's Tuesday and I want something special, then yeah, I'm pulling out my 1 beef Wellington, or I'm pulling out all 4, or I'm pulling out 7, or all 8, depending on what I'm hosting. Maybe I have friends in town, maybe my family is visiting, and you really want to have them have that warm, welcoming meal that is something that they'll talk about for time to come. So if you're bringing out 1, 4, or all 8, you have that opportunity. You do not have to thaw it, correct?
You do not have to thaw this. Julia, this is how it's going to come to you at home. It comes in this beautiful Rastelli box, right? And it's a 4-pack. It has the directions right in the bottom, right here. So you have your directions, and they're individually, like we talked about, cryovac, frozen. So you're going to get 12 months on these in the freezer. If you have 1 person coming over, 2 people, or 3 people, you want to impress a friend, family members, or just a nice weekend dinner with your loved one, this is literally the perfect special dinner event at your home with no fuss, and fraction of what the cost would be if you were going to a restaurant.
Oh. Fraction is an understatement. My parents, I was just thinking, I don't know, Mom, are you watching? She texts me. Their 50th wedding anniversary is this year. This is a great bill to ship to moment for someone who is celebrating something special, whether it's a graduation, a big anniversary, a big birthday. Ship this directly to their door, and it's such a wow moment. And then you ensure, even if you can't be with them on those special days, that they're enjoying something very, very special. Chris, can you take me through all the layers of the beef Wellington again?
Absolutely. So first, we start off with the puff pastry, where we're going to put our beautifully delicate puff pastry down first. And then we're going to put our beautiful center cut. This is our 5-ounce filet mignon. We're going to top that with our mushroom duxelle that's made with portobello mushrooms, sauteed shallots, herbs, and red wine, which is reduced. We're going to top that. Then we gently fold that with a little twist on top. And then you're going to finish that in the oven when you get home. And the one thing that you have to remember, don't forget, this is Rastelli's Black Angus center cut filet mignons. These are fork tender. I mean, when you look at, when we talk about how the crust and how delicious and beautiful these are, with that texture of the mushroom duxelle, the crunchiness of the puff pastry, and the unbelievable filet mignon. It's fork tender. I don't want you to, sometimes we lose the filet, which is the star of this dish, but this is fork tender. Look, I'm cutting this beef with a fork, and it's so important and special to make this using the best beef.
It really is an extraordinary opportunity to get this home, extraordinary opportunity to get something extraordinary home. And that's exactly what a filet mignon beef Wellington is. Center cut filet mignon beef Wellington. Now you have your choice of either a 4 count or an 8 count. The 4 count comes home for $94.98 or a $19 easy pay. But double the amount you get without doubling the price. In fact, it's a stock up and save opportunity of $31.98. The 8 count, which equals 3.5 pounds of this labor-intensive filet mignon center cut beef Wellington, $157.98, $31.60 on your easy pays. There's no auto delivery here, and this simply isn't something that you're doing at home by yourself. Who has the time for that? And I mean, so expensive, so time consuming. And if you do happen to find this on one of those specialty menus in those white tablecloth restaurants, I mean, the price will blow your socks off. This is M92780, 4 or 8, $19 or $31.60 on your 5 easy pays. This really is an elegant meal for any celebratory occasion. All right, a quick